This is sort of a now or never kind of moment. When the Pike Place Market was possibly going to be demolished, I was talking to Victor Steinbrook, and I said, you know, Victor, how did you get that, create the Friends of the Market? And he said, well, it's kind of a now or never thing. There was plans to develop this thing, and we rallied the public, and it happened.
This is a perfect time for us to start getting public interest and any direction from council members, as the project is just now coming into the city for review.
10 years ago, again, with the Waterfront Allied Arts, there was that coalition coming together, people that really believed and saw the vision, and the same thing is true here.
The importance, not just to Capitol Hill, but to the entire central part of the city, to the central area, of the connection between that part of the city and downtown.
This is a project that's been discussed quite a bit in my neighborhood and is extremely popular. I really would hope that the city would pick the ball up on this one and go forward with it.
Even though, if like me, you believe a lid is inevitable, that doesn't mean we know when or how it will be funded and built. But we do know that, looking back, it will be a mistake if we design the convention center to not respond to a lid.
The King County Executive has expressed support for the idea, at least conceptually, and the chair of the Washington State Convention Center would welcome an investigation into area planning. There are separate topics between lidding I-5 and the convention center itself. However, there might be some overlap between the two projects in that the convention center is a planned community development, and it also has 5 right-of-way vacations, which means that there's likely some public benefits that will come to the city.
Street vacation policies do require that public benefit be provided anytime a street or alley vacation is requested, and the policies have laid out sort of a classic balancing test. The greater the square footage, greater the size of the project, the greater the impacts of the project, the greater the scale of the public benefit should be.
And a little bit more orientation: 9th, Pine, Boren, Olive, the existing convention center here, the Paramount Hotel, Melrose Market, and the Dog Run, just for some reference points. The convention center addition, it's $1,445 million, so $144 million more than the combined cost in 2015 dollars of CenturyLink Field and Safeco Field. So how do we start to join communities back together and address some of the concerns we have? To be clear, we're not presenting a design today. We're presenting a range of options or a way to further a conversation, not necessarily a way to do it.
There are acres of air rights over I-5. That's got to be incredibly valuable property. And, you know, it doesn't have to be, if it were to be lidded and developed, simply a park. It could be housing. It could be retail. It could be a variety of uses in addition to green space.
DPD released their priorities at the beginning of October, and number 1 is low-income housing.
It's a prime space for affordable housing, not only because it's in the center city and close to transit, but if the amount of jobs generated by the convention center stands true, and I think they're around 2,800, the assumption is those will mostly be low-wage service jobs, and where better for those employees to work than across the street.
Making sure that we are creating space, affordable space for communities that have historically found homes in areas like Capitol Hill and First Hill.
They also identified public open space, improvements to pedestrian circulation.
Seattle has a real deficit of open space in the downtown area, and by doing what's shown here, you have a chance to add about 7 acres or so to connect to the existing freeway park.
Creating the green space, the walk, the connector from the current freeway park down towards Boren, towards the South Lake Union and the Cascadia neighborhood, so important.
Why Lid Park in particular? Well, frankly, there's nowhere left to do it in downtown. There's very few vacant sites left, and other major cities like San Diego and Philadelphia also undertook this kind of opportunity to provide open space where the transportation corridors have taken up a lot of valuable land. Locally, Aubrey Davis Park and also Freeway Park costs around $400 a square foot. To Dallas, Texas, they have one of the most recently completed lids. It's about the same size as Freeway Park, about 5 acres, and was completed for slightly more at $490 a square foot. From all the projects I looked at, a conservative cost estimate that I developed for relatively high amenity lit parks is in the range of $460 to $575 per square foot. If you compare that to the price of downtown land, that's relatively a lot less, anywhere between $700 to $850 for appraised values, but as John said, actual land value transactions are anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per square foot.
What I think is really interesting about the presentation are the numbers that you all cited in terms of the value per square footage of land in this particular area, in light of the affordability crisis and in light of the incredible amount of gentrification and displacement that we are seeing in the precise area that the lid is being proposed.